This is Presso, and I'm here for part 35 of the Human Journal. This chapter I call Hotel Airlines. Yes, a few weeks ago, around maybe like three weeks ago, something like that, when I went on a plane, and when I was before I visited New York City, I was just, I was looking out the window and having some ideas, just some ideas to changing, or let's just say revolutionizing the aviation industry. And I just felt that, I just feel like there's different ways of designing planes and stuff. I never forget, I think somewhere in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, I saw this, there was a commercial. There was, I don't know, the Air Force, right? They advertised this plane. Forgot what they call it, but it's a plane that just lifts off, okay? It just lifts off, and I forgot what they call that. And, actually, I just remembered, if anybody's familiar with the cartoon G.I. Joe, if you remember, I think the Cobra, the Cobra Army had this plane that does the same thing that this plane that they had in the Air Force. It just, the engine just, it goes, the engine, the plane engine just goes vertical, like down, like a rocket, and it just lifts off. It's kind of like a chopper, except obviously there's no propellers on top. But it was something like that. I remember I used to, I grew up watching G.I. Joe, believe it or not, but it was a fun cartoon at the time. But I just want to bring that up. I just remembered. And so to go back from this commercial in the Air Force, I never seen those planes again. In fact, I don't recall anybody or anything on the internet talks about those types of planes. Now, I just want to say this real briefly, and then I'm going to get to the title of this chapter, why I named it Hotel Airlines. So anyway, so I was saying to myself, it would be great if these planes are designed, instead of going on a runway, it just lifts off, and it's possible. I mean, I didn't do the research about this plane that I saw in a commercial on the Air Force to do the research, and maybe I'll probably, when I get around to it, I'll probably research it to see these planes, see these planes, if they still being used, maybe privately or something like that. But maybe I'm just gonna, when I get around to it, I'm gonna look into this. But so I was saying to myself, it'll be great if these planes would just lift off instead of going on a runway and waiting for like traffic. Can you believe it? Air traffic. It's amazing. Wow. And I just feel that if the plane lifts off, it would just pretty much won't be any much of a air traffic as we know today. And this is my take on it. Okay, this is my feelings about this. Okay. When I look at certain technology, right, and I see certain things don't really change, maybe some things do change on the inside and some parts here and there, okay? I'm not a plane engineer, but, I just want to express my feelings. I know a lot of people, I am very certain, without a doubt, that there's a lot of people that just love designing planes. And they got ideas, ideas that basically were revolutionizing the way of travel, or just the whole aviation industry. And I asked myself this question, like, why do we keep seeing the same old planes? I mean, yes, they have yeah, these airline companies, they buy these planes, and there's some planes are new, and now they got these jumbo jets, they call it Airbus, but they got these big mega Airbus, but it's still the same. I like something that's really, I feel, and this is the thing. I really truly believe that if people not be afraid, and this is my take on this now, if people not be afraid and design a plane or an aircraft, it's just different. It takes off differently, whatever it is, it's just different. And I feel like the reason why we still see the same old airplane is because, again, like I was telling you, I feel like people are afraid, and there's certain entities that seems to keep things the same, maybe some changes, small changes. And I really feel, and I don't know if anybody will, I don't know if you're going to see the connection of this, but I really feel that we allow government to regulate different plane designs and stuff like that. So, yeah, I know a lot of people come up with ideas, just changing the whole look. You're getting tired of, aviation hasn't really changed so much. This is my take on now, hasn't really changed at all for the past over 50 years or so. Maybe the material of the planes change, make sure it doesn't get hit by that way it doesn't get hit by bolt of lightning, that change. The controls, I kind of peeked at inside the cockpit, where the pilots are. Things look somewhat the same. It's just there's some different changes, but I'm talking about a significant change. I mean, let me just go like this. I'm talking about creating an aircraft that you would see on a sci-fi show. I don't really like using this word sci-fi. I feel that a lot of people, we are great. We create things, right? We're very imaginative beings, right? That's good, I just feel like people don't take things further. I mean, when you imagine something, okay, and then let's say you classify as sci-fi because you see something that's sci-fi, right? And you're only going by your laws of physics. Oh, it's impossible. So you, in your ego mind, you will just go up to sci-fi, and that's it. But I'm like, a lot of things is possible. I feel like a lot of people, I just want to say, anybody that's interested in redesigning the entire airplane, just different. I really inspire anybody that just go forward with it. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let any entity or whatever stop you. I like to see something different about the aircraft, these airplanes, because it's like, I mean, yes, they look big, but it looks the same. It's like I know people are capable of creating something completely different, revolutionizing everything, especially when it comes to aviation. But again, my take on it, I feel that a lot of people are afraid, and a lot of people need to get approved to do certain things by certain groups of people. And I'm like, and I feel like I just want to inspire everybody to just go forward. Don't stop. Don't let anybody or any idea stop you. But everything that I feel, what I express about airplanes that just lift off like vertical up, going vertical. Yes, those things do exist. They do. And I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just whatever about the Air Force. I'm talking about for the public. For everybody. Those things do exist, and that's just how I feel about it. I'm a firm believer that whatever you imagine, okay, whatever you imagine, It exists. You have to understand too that, within consciousness, there are endless amount of realities. Yes, there's endless amount of realities. You may observe a reality that you see with your two eyes, like, oh no, this stuff is not happening. But actuality, it does exist. It's about alignment. It's basically what you rather align yourself with. If you rather still stay with a technology or way about things, let's say that's like 50, 60 years old, go ahead, But if you wanted to if you want to shift, or let's just say expand, like, literally go for it, revolutionize things, change things up, you could shift to that. It's all about alignment. Everything is possible. Everything. And a lot of people, I know within a good number of people don't feel that way, because you're only staying stuck with you're only staying in a very small limited belief system that things progress very slowly. And the story that we always hear that, we're not ready yet. That's a favorite thing that humans love to say. Oh, we're not ready yet. Maybe in 60 years from now, maybe 70, 100 years from now. And it's like I sit back and I hear things like that. I mean, this is in general now. It's like, wow, people, if people just stop, really get out of their head, that you're literally stopping yourself. I mean, you choosing to say, oh, I'm not ready yet. Maybe in the future. A lot of things possible. I care less what scientists have to say. I love science. I don't feel the same about science as I did going to school, but a lot of us we rely on scientific proof whether certain things is possible. I go beyond science. Science is a level. Okay, is it a level of awareness? I think it's fun for the ego mind because it likes to figure things out. Kind of like the point A to point B kind of thing, right? That's just how it is. But those things are experienced. We could do that. We could go to point A and point B and subtract that to this, and how we're going to do that and come up with these formula and all that. So yeah, we could go about things and be slow and wait. Maybe one day you would align yourself with something that's so impossible. I just want to say this. This is a little bit of an example. I want to mention Star Trek real quick, and then I'm going to go on with the topic of this chapter. Okay. Star Trek is a sci-fi TV show, right? Okay. But do you realize, and I know a lot of you that are Trekkie fans, you probably will know what I'm going to say probably. You know that communicator that they use? Back in the 60s, they say, oh, wow, that stuff is sci-fi. That stuff don't exist. And you know what? We use those communicators today, like cell phones and stuff, or walkie-talkie. Yeah, those little things like that, right? Little things like that. We thought it sci-fi, but until people just open up. And, actually, in fact, let me say this before Star Trek. I was looking into Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, I would love for a movie to come out based on Nikola Tesla. I think that would be a fantastic movie. I don't know. Maybe there's a documentary on Nikola Tesla, but I'm talking about a movie. Anyway, Nikola Tesla, for what I've learned, right, he was coming up with ideas, ideas, and he just, I really believe it's more of a discussion thing, but he talked about a wireless communication. And we're talking about what? We're talking about in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, 1900s, around that time. Wireless communication. I mean, think about it. I'm like, wow, people look at him like he's crazy. Nikola Tesla come up with all kinds of ideas. people are fascinated with his show. He got these electrical towers and how electricity travels, and it's hard to explain. But if anybody is familiar with Nikola Tesla, this, Nikola Tesla is, he's a consciousness. He's no different than me and you. It's just that he decided to open himself up, to put himself out there, whether a lot of people thought he was crazy. So, but yeah, I want to use that example, okay, about the sci-fi thing. That's why I had to bring Star Trek. And as I'm talking about Star Trek, I just remember Nikola Tesla, about how he discussed about wireless communications and all that stuff. But anyway, so my thing, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of us, we look at these things, certain ideas that come up, oh yeah, that's just in the movies. Yeah, there's other things that we thought that, oh, that's just the movies. We use them. I mean, the only thing I can think of right now as I'm recording this clip is a wireless communication. I mean, everything is possible. That's the thing, I'm just having more and more of awareness about the idea, the human part of consciousness. Yes, it is truly a level. It is. I mean, don't be offended. I mean, like it or not, you're not just human. Your consciousness. I mean, you could be at a level, but you are all consciousness. But yeah, this is the thing about, doing things slow and not ready yet and all that stuff, and not opening yourself up to endless possibilities of all ideas. So yeah, I just want to mention that. But yeah, I would love, I just love the idea of planes that just lift off. And I'm, again, not on a runway, just going vertical up. I mean, maybe the rocket engine won't be that strong. Maybe it'll be whatever. But it'll just be a very fascinating experience. It would. I definitely see that. Okay, so I'm going to go on what I was saying about the topic of this chapter of this, the title of this chapter, excuse me. Hotel Airlines. Okay. There was a commercial I saw, maybe recently, right? I'm gonna try to pronounce this airline name right. It's called Emirates Airlines. Sorry, it's a very tricky word, but it's an airline that's based in the Middle East, if I'm correct. Okay. All right. I saw this actress, Jennifer Aniston. It was a very short commercial. I was looking at it very briefly, and it was advertised. She was in a bar, right? She was in a bar inside a plane, okay, and a bed, okay, a bed, and I'm like, wow, I've never recalled seeing a bed, people asleep in a plane like that, okay? I'm not talking about a reclinable chair. We're talking about a bed, okay? I mean, the stuff that you see on a rail trains, okay? A real bed. I was amazed by it. You know what? I said to myself, this is great. And I was talking to my friend of mine. I was telling her, I said, I would love to see everybody that travels have the same experience. I would love to see, I was coming up with ideas about redesigning the plane. Just redesigning the whole entire plane in the inside, making it more spacious for everybody. And she was excited to hear that. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to express this to people, and I was just telling her, I said, I want to talk to people about this because, I know that if everybody gets together, right, definitely things change, okay? I don't really care about going and talking to the airlines, whatever. I don't care about that. My interest is talking to people, everybody. Yes, people work behind these airline companies, but I want to inspire everybody because, I feel that you know, the experience traveling, especially those traveling, let's say, one part of the world to the other. It's a long flight, right? You want to have a very comfortable experience. I know we all want that. And I thought about this design. I'm like, just just really making a plane like a hotel. Literally. And it's possible. It really is. It is really possible. The entire plane is a hotel. It's like this. It's like Amtrak. I've been on Amtrak once. I think I passed by one of the cars. Okay, I didn't take the train with the bed. So, but yeah, they had beds, and that particular thing's been going on since what? Since like what? Over 100 years? You have an actual bed in a train? So I'm saying to myself, I would love to see a hotel airline. Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, you have the airline, one of these airline companies, I don't know which one, built this mega Airbus. How many people could fit? It's like what? Like maybe 400 people or something like that? I saw one. Really, it was a really huge plane. But it's like, all those things possible. Yeah, those things is possible. And, maybe the airline companies, the airline companies may not be open to revolutionizing this whole way of travel. But I feel that if a lot of people want to start an airline company, you got investors that want to, maybe put money into it, or just, anybody that's listening to this clip, just really, just take it in what I'm saying, because, we're all capable of creating things, every one of us, no matter who you are, don't feel like, oh, who am I? Yeah, that's just a dream. Don't sell yourself short. And I'm have to say this to myself now, okay? Creating a different airline company that actually really build a new plane, or just redesigning the entire, just the way the whole plane looks on the inside. So yeah, you got a bar, just like, it's similar to that plane that I saw in a commercial, okay? It has a bar, it has like sections, like bed sections. So yeah, I don't know how many people will fit, but I just want to give like a generalized, idea. And, anybody that's listened to my clip, maybe fill in your thoughts. Because, I always say this in my other chapters, when we bridge our intelligence together, okay, that's it. It's history. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's no limit. Okay? All right? The thing is, I just love to see people have a very comfortable experience. I don't care who you are. I was talking to another friend of mine about this too. And what started that conversation with him was, so I spoke to him about, he went to Japan recently. So I asked him about, was your trip to Japan, was it less stressful compared to your other trips in the past? He said, no, this was the worst. And I said to him, why? And he said this to me, and I remember he mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I just remembered. He said to me, oh, it's the flight. It's a long flight, and it's like little room. There's not much room. And the wait time, the layover, that the transfer to another plane or to hop back on the plane, it's just ridiculous. But far inside the plane, it's not like, it's very hard to walk around, to go to the bathroom, to sit. People are very close to you. He just wasn't happy at all. So when I heard that, I said, yes. I told him, yes. Okay, I remember, yes. You did mention this to me a few weeks ago, I told him. But then, I used this opportunity to express to him my idea. what I told my other friend about, just changing, redesigning the plane from the inside. And I told him about it. It's like, this is great. It's like, and I was just telling him about the first class. I said, this idea that I'm talking about, it opens up for everybody. So if there's no economy class and there's no first class, it's like this. It's kind of like there's really no class. It's just the same section of the plane. It's just that everybody gets the same experience, And he was very rejected about the idea. He said to me that, he was telling me that people in the first class, they don't want nothing to do with people in the economy class. I said, I told him, why is that? He said it's not practical. I said, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it doesn't make, the idea that I'm talking about doesn't make sense. But, the thing is, it's not about first class. It's not about any whatever. It's about, we're talking about redesigning the plane from the inside and people able to, it's like a chair. It's a room, okay? There's a bed and there's a chair by the window or something like that, okay? It's like, I was trying to tell him, it is just like you're traveling on a train, but it's on the air, And I was telling him that all these things are possible. I told him that I'm a firm believer. And he was telling me, like, it's just that, and then he was telling me about the first class is expensive. I said, yeah, I understand that. But I was telling him about the money system along with that, too. I said, with my idea, too, with the changing, the redesigning the plane from the inside, if it's about the whole thing with the money, I was talking to him, I shared to him very briefly about the new money system. We're talking about people having access to money. There's no separate groups like poor, middle class, and wealthy. And he was just telling me that, that the wealthy people don't want nothing to do with certain class. And I'm like, I was just telling him, well, if that's how you feel, I said to him, but just see, my idea, it basically opens up for everybody. That's just how I feel. So I said to him, look, and I said to him, I'll give him an example of things, that ideas that we thought was impossible, that it became possible. I was telling him, like, I told him this, before the plane, or let's say before the automobile was invented, a lot of, when cars was invented, a lot of people didn't like the idea. People thought it was crazy. A lot of people thought that the horse and buggy is the way. It's like an automobile. What's that? And I was telling him that, a lot of people think the idea of an automobile is crazy, yet now we're driving an automobile. And he said, no, he said, and he responded to me that you can't, like, this, you can't put mechanical inventions into, it's different than social class. Social class of different groups and stuff like that. And I'm saying to him, I said, well, then I gave him another example. I told him, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're telling me that in a social level, right, you're telling me that these things is not possible, about how everybody basically equal. Okay. So anyway, I told him like this. I said, okay, here's another example. Okay. I said to him, we got, now, we have interracial couples. Years ago, interracial couple was crazy, especially here in the United States, I told him. And I said, look, now you have interracial couples. But he said, he told me that, he responded to me, it's not many. I said, no, there's a lot of interracial couples these days. I told him like this. I said to him, I gave him another example. I said, look, I told him this. I said, look, Oklahoma, I told him. When I first visit Oklahoma, and one of the cities I visit was Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is the heartland of America. That's what it says, right? Now, before I went to Oklahoma City, right, in my own mind, I thought it was a lot of predominantly white, right? It's a predominantly white, and then you got Native Americans, right? But when I told him this, I said, when I visit Oklahoma City, I saw there was a community of people from India, okay? People that, a certain ethnic group that you would never thought for a minute that in this part of the country, you got people from India. There's a big community in Oklahoma City, people from India. Some people would say some people would say Oklahoma City, for example, a lot of rednecks and stuff like that, and then you got Indians and all these names, whatever. But my point is that you got places with certain ethnic groups that you at least suspect. I gave him another example. I told him when I visit Nebraska, okay, you have Mexicans in Nebraska. Who would have ever thought? Before I went to Nebraska, I understand that you have Nebraska has a history of a lot of Dutch, and what else? And then you got some Indians. But as far as Mexicans, I would have never thought. But yeah, there's a lot of Mexicans in Nebraska. So I was just telling him, that I've been around the U.S. a lot. I told him that I've seen certain ethnic groups that you at least suspect to be there. So I had to go back. So when I mentioned to him about social class and how it's not possible for people to be equal or to adapt to a certain way, I'm like, everything's possible. Everything. I had to get off the phone with him because I had to take care of some stuff. But I will continue this conversation with him. But after I got off the phone with him, I felt that I called my friend back. I called my friend of mine. I told her that I said, when I spoke to him, I felt an echo of a lot of people through him. And she said, what do you mean? I said, there's a lot of people think like him. A lot of people. That's why there's certain people stay where they're at. A lot of people stay to be closed-minded. A lot of people will be offended if I call someone closed-minded because their ego is affected or hurt a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of people that just decide to be closed-minded. And you know what? It's all that is just a belief system. And I gotta say this to everyone. Like I said, everything is by belief system. So like I was telling you about my other friend when he was telling me how that's not possible or it's not practical. He's only going by his own experience, right? Right? He's going by his experience and things that's been passed on to him for many years. But again, he just sounds like he's just not open. But like I said in all of my clips, we are freedom. We decide to be open-minded, and we decide to be closed-minded. But if anybody is offended, I know closed-minded might be maybe too direct to a lot of people, but it's the truth. If you're offended, it's something you got to check your ego. You see, everybody, consciousness is all about expansion. Yes, consciousness will put itself into a limitation for momentarily. But ultimately, consciousness is all about expansion. What I'm trying to say is that no matter how narrow-minded people may be, okay, you see, you cannot stop consciousness from expanding. That's like you telling me you're going to stop life from moving on. Nobody, nothing can stop life. Humanity cannot, or let's say can't stop life from expanding. So that's why I take the joy of expressing myself of ideas and things of all my chapters and stuff like that. You know, I'm all about expansion. I'm all about self-empowerment. Okay, all right. Life is infinite. Okay, you might as well embrace it, everybody. You know, life is truly infinite. I mean, I know I say this in my other chapters. Okay, that that it's your choice to be limited. Well, I feel like I need to bring a little bit more clarity to what I've been saying before. You could stay, if you want to stay closed, you're free to do that. I'm just going to tell you this, and you can maybe deny this if you want. I could tell you all the things that's possible, and let's just say you telling me, oh, it's not impossible, da-da-da. Before you know it, you're going to experience the things that I'm telling you. That's just how life is. That's like people saying that there's no life outside of Earth. People make jokes about little green men, right? I was telling my friend of mine about this. I told her about that, about how people, they just seem to like not want to believe. And I told her, I said, a lot of people make jokes about these things. It's like about like, oh, like ETs don't exist. It's like, it's funny with humanity is that we talk about things that don't, oh, it's impossible. But then again, we're involved with this, whether through a social class or whether through an invention. A lot of you think that flying is impossible, yet we take the planes every day. We drive every day. We have wireless communications, right? Right? A lot of you can't live without your wireless communications, right? Oh my gosh, I lost my phone. My life is over. But wait a minute. Over 100 years ago, you say it's impossible. What do you mean a wireless communication? What is that? What are you, crazy? Oh no, a white person going out with a black woman or a black woman going out with a white guy. Oh no, that's crazy. But then you got interracial couples. It's funny. This is the pattern about humanity. We reject the very idea, right? We reject the very idea of all possibility, and yet, before you know it, at the blink of an eye, we're actually involved with those experiences, the very experiences that you reject. That's the pattern I see about humanity. It's just interesting. So hotel airline, it exists. Yes, it does exist. I'm only inspiring everybody. Like I said earlier in this clip, it's all about alignment. There's endless amounts of realities within consciousness. Okay? All right? You can align yourself into that reality, boom, right now. Right at this very moment. So, trying to see if I want to add something here. See if I could. Yeah. So, again, everyone, I always inspire everybody to be open. Don't be afraid. Put your ego aside. Again, life is about expansion. Okay. Consciousness is in us. Okay. Not outside of you. It's in us. So you can sit there and mope and tell me that, no, these things are not going to happen and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then before you know it, you're going to say, hey, Crystal, wow, it's been so comfortable in the airline and this plane. I feel I could just stretch my arms and stretch my legs. I could just whatever. Wow. I thought a moment ago, I thought it was impossible. But I just got up. It's like, wow. Bed and breakfast in a plane, for example. Wow. And you know what? Everybody is experiencing that. Everybody. So we dropped the whole first class and economy class. Humanity evolved out of the separation of groups, of the silly groups that we create in terms of classism, as far as money, okay? As far as money, as far as your skin color, all this ridiculous separation stuff that we create. But yes, I know those things are experienced, but humanity, consciousness within humanity saw things beyond these ideas or these experiences and just evolved. So, yep, that's the truth, everyone. Okay, I think that's it. I think I cover a great deal on this chapter. And, this chapter is a little bit on the, I did talk on the chapter 18 about the us traveling, okay, wherever, whenever. So this chapter is it's a good addition to chapter 18. And we all deserve a great experience traveling, okay? We deserve a great experience of traveling comfortable. Everybody. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your skin color. It's not about how much money you have. It's about people having access to the same thing. And what I was saying about chapter 18, people could travel around this world freely. And what I mean freely, I mean people collectively abolish or shifted out of this whole passport. So if you want to, so let's say somebody here in the U.S. wants to travel to Iran. People are able to do that, okay? Or people in Iran go to the U.S. But yes, we got people in the UN people from Iran come to the U.S. But there's no clearance. There's no government, national security nonsense on all ends of the world. So people able to travel to North Korea, and then people from North Korea are able to travel anywhere they want. Same thing for Cuba. So yeah, people, and this is what I envision, people literally shifted out of their government systems and opened themselves up to the rest of the world, because our world is our home. Okay? All right? That's the truth. Okay? You can take anything I'm saying or leave it, but I'm just telling you to flat out. This is not my opinion. I'm telling you straight up. This world is our home. Okay? So this idea of separation, it may seem established, this idea of separation, such as politics and racial or whatever it is, and we put walls up. But like I said, consciousness, I always tell you, consciousness is as one. Okay, so by you being separated, it doesn't have any significant power. Okay, you can't divide consciousness. Okay, that's the thing. I know your intellect mind is not going to understand that. It's like, for example, the Palestinians and Israelis. It's like you can't see both cultures together. But you see, I'm telling you what I see spiritually. That yes, people from Palestine, for example, and people from Israel, you see, they decide to drop their old story. Okay, it's an example here. Okay, and they understand that both cultures, both people, okay, from both sides of the fence or ethnic group, whatever, they understand that they are as one. Everybody came from source of life. I just want to cover those things, okay? I know it's a little slightly off topic, okay? I see through, you see, before I close out, I see a lot of patterns with humanity, a lot of patterns. That's why I say certain things for a reason. We create ideas to limit ourselves and to separate, as a separation, based on money, skin color, or wherever you're from. All those things are just belief systems. It's a belief system that we hold up through history. We take pride in history. But then history doesn't mean nothing. Because you see in consciousness, consciousness is timelessness. Even though there is somewhat of a concept of time, but that's just an experience. Time is energy. But when you're but beyond that, okay, consciousness is timelessness. So a lot of us, we like to hold on to history like it means anything. It doesn't really mean nothing. ultimately, history doesn't mean nothing. The flag that you wave and you identify yourself as an American, for example, and that you say that, oh, my forefathers defended, they created the Declaration of Independence and all that. It's like, you know what? It's a story. It's just a damn story. Like anything else we create. We talk about this history, but it means nothing. So you're much more than a story that you attach yourself to a flag or a religion or wherever you're from that you describe yourself. You identify yourself as only those things. You are much more than that. So, like I said, I see a lot of ideas that people create. Yeah, I take the responsibility that I created these ideas too. But the thing is, because I'm as one too. I'm in this human experience too. But the thing is, everyone, I see past all the structure. These limitations that we create for ourselves, I see past that. And I'm just inspiring everybody to, let's just say, I want to nudge you to say that everything's possible. So, okay, that's it for this chapter. I will be back for chapter 36. Take care.